Now, this variant was first detected in South Africa. What were the findings in the testing, and was it any different from Delta variant testing?
Well, it was picked up through genomic surveillance, which South Africa is very strong on. We have been out of our third wave now for a number of months, and so our cases have been very, very low. But it was recognized in one of the provinces of South Africa, Gauteng, where Johannesburg sits, and Tshwane, that there was an increasing number of cases which in the laboratory looked a little bit strange. The PCR test that they were doing showed a strange result. And these viruses were then sequenced through genomic sequencing, and that resulted in the finding of this new variant of concern, now known as Omicron, which have these very large number of mutations.
Professor, what do we know about the behavior of this variant? Why has this variant Omicron created such a panic?
Well, in truth, we don't know enough about Omicron at the moment because we haven't had time to amass that understanding. I mean, what we do know is that the virus, this variant, has shown a lot of changes in its genetic structure, the so-called mutations, and these mutations are sitting in areas of the virus, the spike protein particularly, which is involved in entry into our cells. And so the critical questions are really threefold. Will this virus transmit more readily? Will these mutations mean that when this variant does get into people, that our immune system won't be able to recognize it as well? And can we get more reinfections? And in those reinfections or first infections, will they be more clinically severe, less severe, or the same as we've seen with the other variants? But I think the really critical thing to bring out here is that, across the board with all the variants we've seen so far, although there may be reductions in neutralizing antibodies, which everyone's focusing on, and that's the worry that there may be a reduction in part of our immune system against the virus, across variants, our immune system and the vaccine that has induced the immunity has actually protected against severe disease, hospitalization, and death. And there is nothing at the moment to suggest that that is not the case against the Omicron variant as well. So vaccination still is absolutely key. And, listening to your broadcast just before I came on, the fact that Canada has such a surplus of vaccine is wonderful for Canada. But of course, if you look globally in low middle-income countries, vaccine equity is really a major issue. So we need to get vaccine into the arms of everybody on this earth, basically.
And that's right, all across the globe. And this is a big issue indeed. But Professor, I want to ask you this, please. The fact that there are more cases of Omicron in that region because it was detected there first. Can you describe to us how is this variant behaving on people who've been infected, both vaccinated and those who are unvaccinated? A few days down the line, how are they, responding to this virus, this variant?
We can't tell you that because you need time to say that. When a wave starts and a new variant is introduced, then the first thing you see generally is, first we saw wastewater surveillance with an increase in the virus, then you see cases, and then only after about 2 to 3 weeks do you really see the severe cases, hospitalizations and deaths. So at the moment we don't know. We're seeing mainly mild cases, we think. But that is absolutely no indicator. At present time, it would be wrong to say to you that this is a mild disease or a more severe disease because we just don't have that information as yet.
All right. And lastly, your take on the fact that several nations across the world have imposed travel bans on several countries from that region. What do you make of that, and how is this being received?
Well, I and the rest of South Africa, I think, are angry, frustrated and disappointed. Our scientists are amazing. They've done excellent work and we have shared the knowledge that we have very rapidly. And every country that is undertaking this sort of surveillance should be doing the same thing. But goodness me, I mean, if you were a country now seeing what has happened to Southern Africa and the discrimination and travel bans that have been brought in, if you're a country and you want to avoid that, are you really going to be openly giving your results? So that is the real concern. I very much hope the countries would. But this is discriminatory, and we do not believe that the travel bans are correct. We don't believe that once the virus, this variant, is seen in many countries around the world, and it's already globally distributed, that they play a role. But what they do is absolutely cripple and devastate economies and society, and that is what is happening now in South Africa right at this moment.
Yeah, the WHO also saying that we should not be penalizing countries that have detected the virus, this new variant. But we appreciate your time. Professor Marc Mendelson of Infectious Disease and Head of Division of Infectious Diseases at HIV Medicine at the Groote Hospital, University of Cape Town. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.